The early steps of finding a home in the Venice Wellen Park areas could be messy and you might be wasting a lot of time.
But if you approach it with this quick guide we're going to give you, it'll save you a lot of time and help you drill down into finding the right area for you. Let's get started.
The first step is to get an overall sense for the different locations. You can do this by watching our videos.
Watch all of our videos.
You could also just go on Google and type in like Venice, Florida, Port Englewood, Port Charlotte, Sarasota, just to get an idea of where that location is and to start kind of like getting familiar, even if you're not in the area, of what's in the area and what kind of amenities are in the area that are important to you.
Yeah, definitely just taking a look at the map to see kind of, where it positions you in close to the water, because that's obviously a big thing of wanting to be in this area, and beach access as well, because you might be looking at some areas like Port Charlotte and be like, oh, there's water right there, but there's not necessarily a beach that's all that close. Obviously, of course, with all this stuff, having an understanding of some of those details, like some of these things are going to be hard to find online. So it's always nice to be able to ask some of those questions and get quick answers, which if you are looking to buy or sell a home in the area, we can help you a lot with streamlining the process. Call, text, or email our team at 941-221-1897. We'd love to help you out. We've helped a lot of people move to the area and we'd love to help you too.
And that's a great way to support the channel as well, so we can keep making these videos.
But also within that location conversation, amenities as far as downtowns, shopping, all those sorts of things, and just kind of knowing what city has what. Again, our videos are just packed with a lot of information. And I think at that stage of the process, that's kind of where you should get most of your information from, watching only our YouTube channel and nobody else's. But also, some of those online resources like niche.com is a great one to get some, ratings and reviews for these different cities. Niche.com is one we use on the channel occasionally. We recommend often to clients and to just anyone watching these videos, just because we feel like it's a great resource that's pretty accurate on a lot of the factors that you're looking for.
Yes, and I think even just using Google to get familiar with the area, the Google Earth view, it literally puts you like you're walking or driving around that area. So just doing Google Earth and doing the previews and looking at the area as a whole, that will give you a better understanding, because it can get very confusing very, very quickly.
Yeah, and just for our firsthand experience, like this was like back in like whenever we moved to the Orlando area, when we originally moved to Florida about 6 years ago. That was one thing we did. We watched a lot of YouTube videos, but then on top of that, we did a lot of like, okay, we would look at homes on different websites and things like that. And then we would go to the street view. I'm like, okay, what is this? We'd pan around, go down the street a little bit, go to maybe the next intersection, and just kind of see what things look like in the area. So you can kind of be there without being there. I think that's a really good tool. And yeah, it'll give you a good sense, all these things that we've given you of like, okay, here's my locations, here's my options. And that should be the first step of the process of really getting familiar with the different areas and what's out there.
Yeah, and another thing too, if you already live in Florida, like for us, that's what we did. From Wisconsin, obviously we couldn't keep coming back and forth to check out different areas, but once we moved to the Orlando area, we checked out so many different cities, so many different areas. We've been pretty much all over Florida, and we drove to those areas, maybe spent a night or two just to get the feel for the communities as a whole, drove to different neighborhoods, and this was just like without, any help from anyone. We just wanted to kind of like put ourselves out there, like if we lived in that city, and that was a lot of help. Like that just gave us a clear understanding. It was a little confusing at the beginning because we didn't know different areas. Like some areas, I think like Sarasota, we thought it was like a huge city, and it ended up not being that big of a city. But just being there and experiencing like a local, it goes a long way.
Yeah, and I think that part, though, actually coming to the area and seeing it, that should definitely happen. I think a little bit after step one, you've done a little research, and or at step two, which step two would be to start like looking at places online and getting a sense for, what's out there, what are the price points, or at least getting a sense for the prices. You don't have to necessarily start looking at houses. I don't think you should get that serious. Okay, I might put an offer on this place yet, because you still don't really know the area that well until you go there, right? So getting a sense for the average price points, which again, we go over a lot of that on the channel, even maybe just going on like a Truly app or getting a hold of Haiti to, start looking at properties and getting her set up with some listings and seeing, okay, in Northport, okay, there, for this square footage is going to get me that price point in Northport versus Venice, and getting a sense for those things. And then somewhere in between all of that after step one or middle of step two, you actually come to the area and just drive around and be like, okay, it looks good online, but what do I think about it when I'm actually here?
Yeah, and just having a list of different houses that, you like, and like Realtor.com, Trulia, Zillow, they're very, very helpful. All you have to do is just leave a heart, and then they'll save the homes that you like. And that way, even if they're pending, it doesn't matter because you're not thinking about purchasing them or sending an offer right away. All you have to do is just drive to those homes that you like, compare the price, the neighborhoods, the size of the home, and just kind of like pick and choose which ones are your favorite, and then just keeping those as your favorite as you go so that you have a clean list. That is also very helpful because that way you can look at the price, look at the neighborhood. Is this kind of like what I want? Or is it's the price low, but the neighborhood, it's I don't really want to live here. Is the price a little bit higher and the neighborhood it looks a little bit better, and that's, you know, something I would consider. So like kind of like picking and choosing and comparing price to neighborhoods, that would be very, very helpful because when we're coming out of state, we don't know really what the neighborhoods look, and like you might find a house that looks like it's in great shape and it looks like a great deal, but then you drive to the neighborhood and it's maybe not somewhere where you would want to live.
Yeah, and so within this, couple things too, when you're looking at those homes, again, maybe you don't want to come all the way down here just to check out the neighborhood. Again, that's street view. You know, okay, this home looks good. I think I'll like Northport, or I'll like Venice, or I'll like Wellen Park, or whatever it is that you're considering. And you go to the street view to kind of get a feel for, okay, this is what it looks like. And then maybe when you come down, you can drive around the different cities and some of the amenities, the downtowns and things like that, and then get a feel for them. Drive around some of these houses in real life and get a feel for them. And that would bring us to the next step, which is starting to drill down more into specific locations. And then pretty close after that would be the final step, which is actually looking at houses. But drilling down into locations. So now you have a feel for, okay, I think I'm going to like these cities. Again, at that point, I would say it would be a good idea to come down and just drive around through those different downtowns, you know, the hot spots where you would work, driving the routes that you would drive to get to work, or, you know, if you're going to retire, just going about it kind of like, this is what I would probably do on a day-to-day basis, and not necessarily some of the touristy stuff, but let's be honest, we still do some of the touristy stuff when we live here. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, it's part of the reason you move to the area. But I think understanding, okay, my budget and I want to be by the beach, oh, that doesn't work. And having an awareness of that, okay, what am I willing to give up? Or, you know, where can I move that maybe I'm willing to drive 15 minutes to the beach. I can deal with that and it'll save me 50 to 100K or whatever that may be. That's, I think, the really important part though, is getting an awareness of where those spots are within the larger areas that you're considering.
Yes, and even at this stage, I would say making a list of what your deal breakers are and what you're willing to, you know, maybe give up for now, or that you would be okay with. Making a list, I think, would be ideal as well. That way, once you're ready to start looking at homes, you have a little more of an understanding of, okay, this home fits all my criteria, but I'm not quite as close to the beach. Like we already got that out of the way, and it's not, you know, you're not looking at homes that maybe are too far from the beach and that you wouldn't be interested in. Yeah,
and then with that whole deal breaker or must-have list thing, I think for every step of the process, I think, you know, if you go through that, it'll help you eliminate stuff that'll waste a lot of your time. So example, when you're talking at the first step, the broad level location, you say, okay, I need to have this, I can't have this, whether that's the size of the city, the schools, the closeness to the beaches, the downtown, enough shopping, whatever those things are for you, you could scratch certain ones off the list or say, I would consider this place if, you know, I can't afford this place that I want because it's close enough. Then you get to the next step and you start talking about budget, because that's where it's really easy to scratch more places off the list, because there it's just like, I can afford it or I can't. And then, you know, so now you're kind of picking the places of the locations that you want that also fit the budget that you want. And now it's easier to start drilling down to, okay, within Venice, I can maybe afford South Venice, I can't afford by the beach, or maybe you can afford by the beach, you know, and maybe it's between by the beach in Sarasota versus Venice, you know, and there's differences in price points there. And you can start to get a better understanding of what's affordable where, what's got what you need, and that still fits your budget.
And that brings us to the last step, which would be looking at houses with me or with us. But before we can actually take you out and look at homes, you would need to get pre-approved. So you would contact your lender. Ideally, contacting a local lender would be the best way to go about it, and we'll help you with that as well once you are ready. And getting pre-approved would be the first step before we can actually go and look at homes.
And I think one thing that we don't point enough on the channel that we should is she actually have a background in loans, so she can really help you with the process. And we do have great connections in the area too, which sometimes it's harder, you know, to try to find a lender if you're moving from out of state to get approved. So that's a very important thing that we can help you with. That could be a major headache, and we can solve you that. That's for sure.
So once you're pre-approved, we're ready to go out and look at homes, and we'll help you throughout the whole process. We have a great MLS system, which is very similar to what we were talking about before with realtor.com, that you can leave likes, and in our system you can actually leave comments as well that I can see.
Yeah, and those comments and just, you know, her conversations with Haiti, you know, will really help us get a better sense for like what it is you're looking for, both in location, you know, in the city and all that. But again, doing those previous steps will help with that. And then some conversations with us can give you a little bit more guidance on maybe areas that are going to fit what you're looking for. And then also what you're looking for in the houses through those comments on the MLS. And the more back and forth we have, the better sense we'll have of, you know, okay, location, home, the must-haves, the must-not-haves, and maybe some alternatives that you're not considering as far as different locations and things like that, that maybe would scratch a lot of the itches that are really important to you that maybe aren't on your radar. Because again, like a lot of stuff that you might be interested in or want out of a city or a house, and all those things combined, you might not be able to find just through a simple Google search or looking up YouTube videos, or maybe it's a question that hasn't been asked to us before that we've decided to do a video on, you know, or anyone for that matter. So that's where that personal interaction becomes really, really important. So you can discover new opportunities, but also have a better sense of, yeah, that's probably not going to work with what you're looking for, or here's an option that will work that you haven't considered.
There are a lot more details in the process, but I can simplify it for you.
And that'll definitely help give you some clarity as well, and save you some time maybe going down some rabbit holes that maybe just aren't worth your time, and
or stress.
Yeah, and stress, and cross some things off the list, and like throughout every step of the process, especially as you get closer to the buying the home, having clarity on those things is extra important, and just the peace of mind, and you know, knowing that you're doing things the right way and looking for the right things. Because buying a home in Florida, especially from out of state, is a much different process, and there's things that are different in Florida than other states.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, coming from a different state, you're going to be, especially if you owned a home and sold a home in your state, you're going to find yourself comparing the process. And a lot of times too, people will ask, like if they have a realtor friend in, you know, whatever state they're from, they'll ask their realtor friend for advice. And I advise you against that, because they are an expert in their local market. They're not an expert in Florida. Even within Florida, our markets are going to be a little bit different. So, and our real estate laws throughout the country are different. So that would just create a lot more confusion, a lot more stress that you shouldn't have to worry about. And it would just complicate the process a little bit more for you. Not that your friend is wrong. They probably are right, but they're right in the state that they practice real estate in, not in Florida.
Yeah, the process, the things to look for, the things that make a place valuable or not valuable are very, very different in Florida versus just about every other state. So those are all things that are going to change. And like Haiti said, you know, just from one area to Florida to another, we have another channel where we do home tours and give market updates on the actual data for different local markets. And it could change within, you know, the Tampa metro, the Orlando metro, not just Tampa versus Orlando, you know, within each. So there's a lot of nuance that goes into all of it. And it's really important that, you know, you have an understanding of what's going on in the local area, which is where we can come in and help.
So if you are looking to buy or sell a home in the Venice, Sarasota areas, make sure to call, text, or email our real estate team, 941-221-1897. We'd love to help you out.
We've helped a lot of people move to the area. And if you are finding the videos helpful, that's a great way to support the channel so we can keep making you guys videos like this.
If you want to learn more about what it's like living in Venice, check out this video right here. Northport down here, Englewood, and Wellen Park.
If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and live breezy.